Hi, I'm Stacey and welcome to my book Nook. And today we're going to be doing my February haul, and there's more than I expected to get in February. So I think this is one of my biggest hauls. And part of that, quite a big part of that, is because I was sent a surprise package from my work and publisher, so I have those to go through. So, as always, let's start off with the digital ones. I got 2 digital books in February. The first one is Juniper and Thorn by Reid. And I don't know a lot about this book. I'm pretty sure it's a fairy tale retelling, and I've heard good things. And that's all I really need to know about it. It's also meant to be more kind of a horror fantasy thing, apparently. So we'll see how that goes. And the next one that I bought was Elektra by Jennifer Saint. And that is a historical fiction book, and it's a retelling of the myth of Elektra, who I know very little about, but I do like Greek mythology, so I'm sure I like it. I read Ariadne during February, and I will tell you about that in the wrap-up, but I enjoyed it enough to get Elektra. So I think that says it all, really. So let's start off with the books that I received in a surprise box. The first one is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. And this is a fantasy. And it's following a girl at a very special school. And I'll just read you the back. Enter a school of magic unlike any you have ever encountered. There are no teachers, no holidays, friendships are purely strategic, and the odds of survival are never equal. Once you're inside, there are only 2 ways out. You graduate or you die. Elle Higgins is uniquely prepared for the school's many dangers. She may be without allies, but she possesses a dark power strong enough to level mountains and wipe out untold millions. Never mind easily destroy the countless monsters that prowl the school. Except she might accidentally kill all the other students too. So Elle is trying her hardest not to use it, that is, unless she has no other choice. So, it's quite small. I know it's the start of the series, a series as well. So I'm intrigued. It wasn't really one that was something I was going to get, but I'm still intrigued about it. The next one is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I have a digital copy of this. I was quite happy to receive a physical one as well. Then I can decide whether I want to read it like this or in digital, or I could swap and change if I wanted to. So this is a romance book, and I will read the synopsis. Nora is a cutthroat literary agent at the top of her game. Her whole life is books. Charlie is an editor with a gift for creating bestsellers, and he's Nora's work nemesis. Nora has been through enough breakups to know she's the one men date before finding their happily ever after. To prevent another dating dud, Nora's sister persuades her to swap her city desk for a month's holiday in Sunshine Falls. It's a small town straight out of a romance novel, but instead of meeting sexy lumberjacks, handsome doctors, or cute bartenders, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie. So it sounds quite cute. I'm quite intrigued. So these next ones are ones that I don't know, they just weren't really on my radar. I've already managed to ruin this book. That's great. That's good going. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. It was in perfect condition, but now this little window's a little bit broken. So this one is My Name is Lucy Barton, and it's by Elizabeth Strout. And I've heard of this author, but I've never really picked anything up. So this one is about Lucy, and she's recovering from an operation in a New York hospital when she wakes to find her estranged mother sitting by her bed. They've not seen each other in years. As they talk, Lucy finds herself recalling her troubled rural childhood and how it was she eventually ended up in the big city, got married and had children. But this unexpected visit leaves her doubting the life she's made, wondering what is lost and what has yet to be found. Not my normal cup of tea, but it's quite small, so I'm willing to give it a go. The next one, again, not my usual cup of tea, and again I'm willing to give it a go. So this one is Giovanni's Room, and it's by James Baldwin. And it is about David, a young American in 1950s Paris, is waiting for his fiancée to return from vacation in Spain. But when he meets Giovanni, a handsome Italian barman, the two men are drawn into an intense affair. After 3 months, David's fiancée returns and, denying his true nature, David rejects Giovanni for a safe future as a married man. His decision eventually brings tragedy. Full of passion, regret, and longing, this story of a fated love triangle has become a landmark in gay writing, but its appeal is broader. It sounds interesting, actually. And it's actually really small. It's 159 pages, so that won't take me long to read at all. So the next ones that I have are all non-fiction, which, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that I am not usually a non-fiction person. But they were gifted to me, so I'll read them. So the one that I'm the most interested in is the one I'm going to go for first, and this one is Invisible Women, and it is exposing data bias in a world designed for men. And it's by Caroline Criado Perez, and it's what it says on the tin. It's looking into the data bias, because lots of things have been designed for men, such as phones, like iPhones and things, are too big for women's hands. Things like that. So I'm quite interested in this. And then we have Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Eriksen. And this one is about human behaviour, and it is something I'm interested in. I like psychology and things like that. So that one is just quite interesting. And apparently he split it into 4 types of human behaviour, which I already think that's too few, but okay. The next one is The Salt Path by Raynor Winn. And I think it's best if I read the back of this one. Just days after Raynor Winn learned that Moth, her husband of 32 years, was terminally ill, they lost their home and livelihood. With nothing left and little time, they impulsively decided to walk the 630-mile southwest coast path, from Somerset to Dorset via Devon and Cornwall. Living wild and free, at the mercy of the sea and sky, they discovered a new, liberating existence. But what would they find at the journey's end? So this one sounds quite interesting. And I love the colour. I love the cover of Raynor Winn's books. They're always really beautiful. And they always sucker me in. And the last one is the one that I am the least interested in. And it is Empireland by Satnam Sanghera. And it is essentially, it's about how imperialism has shaped modern Britain. So it's going to be economics and it's got stuff about Brexit, and it's not my cup of tea. But I will try it. I will see what happens. If I hate it, it can go to a charity shop. Right, let's go on to the things I actually did buy for myself. Although, okay, no, let's get on to the things that I was sent by a publisher first. First one. And I was very excited. I requested this. It's basically an ARC copy. It's a reading copy of The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. And so this is the ARC copy. It's not the finished copy. But it's still absolutely gorgeous. And I am so excited to read this. But this book is out now, and I have seen it in hardback, and it's got a really beautiful map on the end papers. So I'll see if I want that copy. Don't tell my boyfriend. I might buy another copy. I'm excited. The next one I was just quite intrigued about. I never told you what that was about. I'll tell you what this is about, first of all. So, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi is about a female pirate. She's a captain, and she goes on one last hurrah, basically. One last adventure that should get her all the wealth, and it does not quite go as she wanted it to. It doesn't quite go to plan. But it just sounds awesome. Like, the back of it says that she's a smuggler, pirate, blasphemer who was too ambitious, too violent, and utterly inappropriate. And if that isn't my cup of tea, I don't know what is. So the next one is, here's another reading copy, and this one is called The Other Side of Mrs. Wood. So this one looks like this. This is not the finished copy, so it's going to look different. But it's about, it's the story of two rival mediums battling it out at Victorian London's finest seance tables. And it just sounds quite fun. It sounds quite funny. There we go. Just found it. Okay. So it says, Mrs. Wood is London's most celebrated medium. She's managed to survive decades in the competitive world of contacting the other side, has avoided the dreaded slips that revealed others at Let's try that again. Has avoided the dreaded slips that revealed others as frauds, and is still hosting packed-out seances for Victorian high society. Yet some of her patrons have recently cancelled their appointments. There are reports of American mediums nearly materialising full spirits, and audiences are no longer satisfied with the knocking on tables and candle theatrics of years gone by. And then, at one of Mrs. Wood's routine gatherings, she hears something terrifying. A faint, but unmistakable, a yawn. Mrs. Wood needs to spice up her brands. She decides to take on Emmy, a young protege, to join her show. But is Emmy Finch a naive ingenue she seems to be, or does she pose more of a threat to Mrs. Wood's reign and, more horrifyingly, her reputation than Mrs. Wood could ever have imagined? So it sounds really interesting. And I'm getting a bit more into historical fiction now. Speaking of historical fiction, this one is One for All by Lillie Lainoff, and this is, it's the Three Musketeers retelling, only with a female musketeer, and she also has pots, which makes her very dizzy, etc. And it just sounds really fun, so I will read the back again. Tanya debats as most herself with the sword in her hand. Everyone thinks her near-constant dizziness makes her weak, Nothing but a sick girl. But Tanya wants to be strong, independent, a fencer like her father, a former musketeer, and her greatest champion. Then Papa is brutally, mysteriously murdered. His dying wish? For Tanya to attend finishing school. But l'Académie des Mariés, I think I butchered that, Tanya realises is no finishing school. It's a secret training ground for new musketeers. Women who are socialites on the surface but strap daggers under their skirts, seduce men into giving up dangerous secrets, and protect France from downfall. And they don't shy away from a sword fight. There's a bit more. We've got Etienne, who's her target in uncovering a potential assassination plot, among other things. But it sounds really fun, so I'm up for that one. And finally, the last one, which you may have seen me unbox, is Spice Road by Maya Ibrahim. This was the Fairy Loot book for January, actually. I haven't had my February box yet. And this is absolutely gorgeous. And briefly, it's about a girl and her brother is selling their kingdom's spice magic, and the spice magic makes people, I want to say, really strong, gives them powers, etc. And it's set in I want to say, Arabian-inspired world, and it's got really interesting things, and I am excited. So if you want to see me unbox that and see a bit more about it, although I will show you this gorgeous cover, I'll put the Fairy Loot unboxing up there. Okay, so that was all 15 of the books that I hauled in February. Let me know if you're interested in any of these or what you thought of the ones that you have read potentially, and I will see you in the next video. And thank you for watching. Bye!